So hi Larry, how are you?
I'm good, Saul. Thank you.
Good to see you. Rafi and I go almost every day to a restaurant.
Yes.
Just had a delicious salad today, and I'll put a picture up of us, especially Rafi, before and after, so you're part of that success. What Rafi was doing juicing in the morning, the big salad, and I was doing the same, and then the evening we'd have like a light either salad or juice, and he lost over 50 pounds, as you know. What would you say were a few, maybe three of the main challenges in the first 3 years, beside the dealing with the partners, which you got out of?
The main challenge that we as a business face is continuity, consistency. And so we had a 5-year plan. We knew what it was that Yes the Fresh was going to stand for. Being able to stay along that course as we change staff, as we change products, as the seasons changed. It's a lot easier said than done. I think that it's really important that you have good staff that you can count on, and certainly you want them to be able to count on you. But changing over staff, sometimes without any warning, without any ability to sort of take control of the situation, it almost sets you back a few steps.
Yeah, one of my favorite business books is Good to Great. I don't know if you read that book.
No.
It's about good companies that turn out to be great. And they did a lot of analysis on the common traits.
Yeah.
And they say the number one thing is your employees, who you get on the bus and who you also get off the bus. And it was like, I've learned since to be a lot more careful on who I hire.
Yeah.
And also if somebody's not working out, have a major discussion about what needs to be corrected. And after that, it's like it's not a fit. It doesn't mean that person is not talented. It means, in my business, for example, lots of detail. You put one Pantone color that's wrong, 300 shirts are in the garbage.
Yeah.
So that person maybe is perfect for another business, but not for us. I used to be too much of a nice guy, and I would carry that person for many months and years.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not working out. We did the talk. Things are not improving, and it's made a huge difference. Now we have best staff, very efficient, and it just everything flows.
Yeah.
People that get it. So I totally agree with you. And as far as business, finding the right people and keeping them is huge. Yeah. So that would be a challenge in keeping to, and that makes it hard to keep to the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second challenge, but I think equally as important as the first, is knowing when to disengage yourself, and not for the sake of not wanting to be involved. It's more the case of wanting to do more. Basically, it's that adage, you should be working on your business, not in your business. That's been a real challenge. And again,
It is.
first and foremost in my mind is being able to build this brand of Yes the Fresh, being consistent, continuing along our growth plan. Another challenge for us, and it would seem, if you were to open a business book on how to run a business, that it would be one of the first chapters. The whole idea of marketing, advertising, social media, it's a huge challenge for us.
Yeah. We spend so much time on it.
Yeah, it's there's never enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
In that, you want to have certainly social media presence and awareness, but it's the follow through.
Yeah. Consistency. Social media is tricky because on one hand, you don't want to give it just to somebody that's not in the company unless you really know them. But you can't also just put in, for example, if I we have a cap on sale, we have a t-shirt on sale. people just tune me out. So I usually try and be very local,
Right.
and I'll put a lot of stuff about. Today I put a picture of a Maple Leaf fan with a, he put a paper bag on his head because he's so
Yeah.
embarrassed, right? In a picture, and I'm like, this is what we're going through. But then I also put a link to one of our products. So I'm trying to put some content that's entertaining or useful, and then at the same time do some promotion. People say you should do about 80% of that and 20% actually promoting.
Yeah.
But you're actually in a very good business to do, because you can have, oh man, I have so many ideas on that one, because you could have a sign in your store saying, take a picture eating in a restaurant, post it, let's say on our wall, every week we choose a winner and you get a free meal. Right?
Mhm.
It's easy, now people are putting pictures, right? Their friends are seeing it. So there's many things you could do. We do some of it. But we talk about challenges. What about what are some things that went really well for you in the last 3 years? That you were like, wow, this was fantastic.
Definitely, hands down, the best result that we've achieved has been our customer base. Getting to know our customers. One of the things that was really important to us, of our branding, we were determined not to be a transaction-based business. We wanted to engage the customers.
Like Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
Certainly.
Yeah.
On the order forms, we ask for our customers' names. Fast forward to today, and I say that our customers are the best part of our business. We have customers that they come in every day. We don't even need our customers to fill out order forms. We simply make the order that they had yesterday, which is the same as they had the day before, and so on and so on and so on. And our customers like the fact that we recognize them when they come through the door. We're attentive, and it feels comfortable. Nothing can be more real than the transaction you have with your own body. What I'm trying to say is that rather than pull your hair out, have your blood pressure raise because you have a 4 o'clock closing and the money's not coming through and you don't know what to do, you want to pull your hair out, what about considering, should you be having a poutine when your cholesterol level's off the charts?
Yeah.
Someone who is gluten intolerant, a celiac, you need to work at how you're going to nourish your body, how you're going to feed yourself. The reward for us at the end is knowing that we are helping people with the most basic exercise,
Yeah.
but the most necessary. If you don't feed yourself, and certainly if you don't feed yourself properly when
Yeah.
you've been told by your doctor you need to take care of your health.
Yeah, it was interesting because last few months, Rafi and I took on this diet. So lunches is a big salad with a bunch of toppings, quinoa,
Yeah.
kidney beans, mushroom, different things. A really yummy big salad. But nowadays I'll go out sometimes with other people,
Yeah.
and I'll have a big bowl of pasta. And I look and I think, and I used to I would eat it all the time. I'm
Yeah.
vegetarian, vegan, but I eat pasta. Now I'm thinking I don't want that big, heavy clump in me.
Yeah.
I want something more like the lettuce and the juice and the stuff and some substance. So it's changed my habits for sure. And yeah, you've helped with that. So the transition you're in now, how would you define it? What would your goal be of the discussion we're going to have? Because I'm going to invite Rafi in a minute.
I think initially when I approached you and Rafi, it's almost as if I'm trying to get someone else's perspective, but not an off-the-cuff explanation. Someone that's had experience, and certainly in their own industry, not necessarily food, because different perspectives will bring different meanings to things. I'm certainly guilty of it in that being immersed in the business and being immersed in the food industry, there are certain things that jump out at you, but not to me.
Let me give you one perspective.
Sure.
The reason I got into this business is in '85 I'm very visual. I used to do pictures and different things, and then I decided to do stuff on t-shirts, sell them in a flea market as well, visual.
Yeah.
So I'm very much a visual communicator. So the thing that I would say I would bring into your business is more visual communication, because there's a lot of text, and both Rafi and I, he's also visual. We have issues with text, and that's why we have Alana to help us, because she's very good with the detail and everything. So I would say visual communication. Sometimes just it's almost like the text communicates with the brain, and I know it's not, but the visual communicates with with your gut. It's like with a different part of the brain, but it feels like it is. I see. When you have in the restaurant and they put those beautiful pictures, and they're like, I want that. I don't have to know the name. Yes, I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
So a few more of those, I'd be like, here's the that. People could just point and say, I'll take that. So that would be something I would. That stands out for me, that a lot more visual communication, because you have very nice, look. You have an amazing product. You have good prices. I mean, we're big fans, but that'd be the thing that jumps out at me as far as different perspective, coming from the visual industry.
That is something that we have on our agenda.
Yeah.
Practically speaking, what happens on a daily basis is that I'll have a to-do list. And it's unfortunate that anything that's not directly or immediately concerned with the operation kind of gets knocked down that list as the day wears on. You have to react to customer demand. It's knowing how to use your resources, whether it be human resources, your food resources, your personal resources. And that's where sometimes those things that are on the top of your to-do list end up getting knocked down, because your personal resources are being utilized to take care of customer requests.
Yeah, what happened in this business is it's really only when I got to the point that I literally didn't have a job here that I started working on the business. I worked very hard to develop with Rafi a system. The seesaws, everything kind of flows in the system, and then people in the back are doing the screens and the printing, and the people in the middle are doing the assembly. And I literally didn't have a specific job. And there was times I'd be like, okay, so what do I do now? And then even this, doing a podcast, improving the website, thinking of different directions. Rafi and I were just talking, and we're going to start advertising in another market. In the past, going into the summer, I wouldn't even dream of advertising in another market. We'd just be dealing with operations, because operation would be so stressed. But now it's there's always issues, but it's relatively smooth that we can look at, we're going to the peak season for us, which is the summer. Let's advertise in the Niagara region, even though we're mostly GTA based, and we just started it, just talking and doing it. So it's interesting, but it's hard. It's one, when you said earlier on challenges, one of the toughest challenges for the business owner, the entrepreneur, the guy who does it. You're asking him to not do it, and it's like, and then he looks and he sees another person, and they're doing it so poorly, and they're like, no, move, I'll do it. And then they bring another person, and the person does like, no, I'll do it. Instead of taking that person and saying, no, let me teach you how to do it. Let me teach you again. You're not the right person. Next, let me teach you. You're not bad. Hey, he's doing it right.
Yeah.
Guess what? My hands are free. I don't have to do this all day. I can do that. So it's really interesting. Like, one of the things I'm going to do now is look for some help from the summer on our website, because I'm doing too much of it myself right now. Yeah. We had about 3 young people, but they're all going into other areas, and I'm missing people. So I'm doing it right now, but I'm looking to replace it because I'm getting bogged down, right? But it's you feel that challenge, right? It's very difficult to see somebody mess up.
Yeah.
And you see a customer that's upset, and you're like, move, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to let go, but I think it's a very key part of development, and learning that it's okay if you lose some. in the process. It's not 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
it's part of the process. So
Yeah, we know that
That's
especially in food service, you can't please 100% of the people 100% of the time. Absolutely not.
okay, I think it's a good breaking point. Let me.
Bring
have
Rafi?
bring off. We have all kind of ideas,
Okay.
and it's good that I got a better perspective. Is there anything you wanted to add before
No.
we'll talk about it? Okay. The point is that he's kind of in a transition period right now, and he's looking to get different perspective from other business people and some other things.
Transition meaning you want to expand.
Yes. Transition means expansion, but also a different role for myself. You know, it's much like what you had said. You want to be able to work on your business, not in your business. And I think when you guys came in, I said my problem right now is where I think I should be going that way, I'm going this way or this way. Like I'm entrenched in the business. And though you think you know how to get out, sometimes you throw your hands up and you say, I don't know how to get out of this.
It's the most difficult thing.
We've
Yeah.
been there. We've
Yeah.
been there, and we are luckier than you in a sense because we're two people. So what happened
I was
is
going to say that dynamic is probably one of the
it's
main differences.
but at some points Saul works in the business, and some points he works on the business, and vice versa. Sometimes I work on the business, sometimes I work in the business. But we have this flexibility, where in your case you're alone.
Mhm.
So you're not really alone because you can always hire somebody to do what you're doing. It's just a matter of doing it. It's also a matter of being able. And despite of what many people say, including myself and Saul and everybody, letting go of the controls are hard, but it's only a mental thing. It's not really, once you do it, you say, why did I not do it years ago? I'll give you an example. We used to check every order. We used to check personally before we went to press. And then a consultant told us, don't you trust your people? Let them do it. They're doing the artwork, they're doing the printing, let them approve their own work. So we said, no, are you kidding me? It's too dangerous.
What happens, well, this is a very good example, because what happens, you get hyper-focused on the fact that 200 shirts got damaged and nobody double-checked. See, that was a problem. Okay, let's do the math. That's cost us about $500 in damage, okay? Now we've been spending, let's say, 3 or 4 months, now wasting everybody's time, waiting with the thing while the CSARs, the people running to approve it, and while the customer service is on the phone, somebody's standing there, all those lost time. Way more, cost you more, but that's invisible, right?
Okay.
It's
I want to go back to something I said to Saul earlier, and you weren't here for this part. You know, there are many types of businesses in this world. We talk about investment bankers, we talk about lawyers, we talk about accountants, we talk about real estate agents. To me, those are empty transactions, because really, it's stress over things that you shouldn't be stressed out over. Okay. Here's my biggest problem. Is one of the things I said to Saul earlier is that being a DJ, I learned how to read people. When you are the entertainment, nobody's going to tell you, and it's not scripted. You need to be able to react, and at some point even dictate. So let's apply it to what we do here. To dictate to our staff, this is the way things should be done. It's slightly different than art going to press and something was wrong, need to be changed.
It's actually it's not about the dictation, it's all about the system that's being put into place.
Sure.
So personally, I'm a very bad organizer.
Yeah.
Saul is an amazing organizer. So when I ran the business for 10 years or 12 years by myself, and then Saul joined me because frankly, it's impossible for one man to run this show.
Yeah.
But when Saul came in, he had ideas at the time seemed radical to me, but today is second nature to us. Number one, before he came, actually, I realized that what the company needed was a business management system. Being that I did not have the time, I bought a $70,000 business management system, which is the worst any company can buy. So Saul came, tried to study it, and says, we can't work with that. So we bought a system. So we spent $50,000 or $60,000. That was phase one of coming out of madness.
Yeah.
Phase two, together with phase one, was organization and putting certain procedure. I don't want, you call it dictation, I call it procedures.
Yeah.
My favorite example is, as I told you before, is McDonald's. When you go to McDonald's, they have a certain procedure to wash the floor. They got the water temperature, how much water goes in the bucket, and how you do it.
Absolutely. I agree with you there.
And you don't have it. I'll give you a few examples. The first time I walked into your place, I walked right out.
Yeah.
Simply because I had no clue what you do over there. I saw some salad, I saw some things, I got myself a piece of paper, and I told him, let's get the hell out of here. My daughter, after, who was a younger person, told me what this place is all about, and Saul and I came back again, and we actually took the time to study and learn how to do that. The second thing that you have is, you people, you got good people, you got middle of the world people, you got not so people. But it's not because they're not so people, and the people that are good, is because if they're all told to do things certain ways, so they all be the same. They just be all this is good. But I don't think that.
There's one main comment that I'm just going to go right at, and then there's a second comment. So let's start with the second one. I said to Saul that we don't want to be a transaction-based business. Meaning you come in, hand in your form, we charge you, you get your food, goodbye. We try to engage customers.
Engaging people, what you have, the gift that you have, that I'm not sure if you, and I told you this many times, the gift that you have is that you don't sell food, you sell a concept.
Yes.
For example, personally, myself, if I don't like your place, there's only one other place or two other places I can go to. I can go to Freshies, or I can go to the Eaton Center to another concept is like Freshies.
Yeah.
Because we have a certain lifestyle, and you provide us a solution. So you're more than just a food seller.
Yeah.
You want to engage with people, it's very good, because that's why we come to see you, because it's friendly,
But that's what I mean, that friendly part, the chit chat, that's a fundamental part of what we're trying to be.
It is, and most restaurants today base their business on service. Like if I don't know if you know Williams Landing
In
the village, in
Liberty Village.
In the village.
Yeah.
So they got 3 restaurants, and I had a talk with the owner over there, and I told him, listen, I don't care if I get a bad meal, which I never got over here, but I would never leave you because you got the best service in the city. I said, I'm going to send my employees to have dinner over here just to learn how to treat customers.
Yeah.
So I'm 100% with you on this one.
Yeah.
But at the same token, you have to instill the systems. So it's being the customer-friendly service is part of it, but the system is where it's at.
Okay, here's the main point I was going to make. And tying in that whole empty transactions thing with the bankers. We're in the business of serving people food, and the decisions...
Healthy food.
Healthy food.
Big difference.
But the decisions that people make regarding what cell phone carrier, what handbag to wear, that's irrelevant to what you put in your body. I've always tried to pride myself on being very astute at picking out people's skill sets, the key attributes. So not too long ago, we had a girl that, she seemed like she had a good head on her shoulders. She was focused. She could take direction very well. So we made her our prep supervisor, responsible for all the food preparation. My job was to focus on front of house. Without going into too many details, because it would take a long time, after she left, it was brought to my attention she wasn't following the recipes. To the point, but not understanding, that I gave her a recipe for how to make a vegetable soup. Unknown to me at the time was only after she left, she was putting mushrooms in that vegetable soup. So forget that she was significantly altering the content without us knowing, me knowing.
What if somebody's allergic to mushroom?
Exactly.
That's
So, having learned from that, the next girl that came along, we weren't going to jump head first and say, okay, we're going to give you the recipes and I'm going to look over your shoulder. No, I took a different approach. I said, okay, you see these slabs of meat? I want you to cut them. See these vegetables? I want you to cut them. And I would time her. This girl by far, I mean, you talk about Marielle being the best employee. This girl who was taking care of all my things, she was my best employee. She never wanted to be front and center. She wanted to work back of house, but here was the issue, and I have to respect it. She said, Larry, I love what you're asking me to do. I will do it. I just don't want to cook. So I have a girl who will cut everything. She will cut from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Just cut. But it's more than just that. So I couldn't dump it on her and say, well, here's the recipe for all of our dressings, our Asian dressing, which you guys love.
Yeah.
Problem is, at this point, and the other thing that girl did, not only did she throw mushrooms in the soup, she was interchanging teaspoons for tablespoons. Where the recipe said teaspoon, she was throwing in tablespoons. That's 4 times. Imagine if it said a teaspoon of salt, you're putting 4 times the sodium in there when you interchange it. So it took me about 6 weeks to sort out all of the recipes and slowly, gradually bring things back. And I hope that you guys find stuff tastes consistent now.
Well, we stay with the same thing all the time, so.
Yeah, but the Asian dressing today tastes different than it did 6 months ago when she was making it.
When I was having the other dressing, the mango dressing, I stopped having it because all of a sudden it became awful. And I mentioned it once, and the second time I just changed dressing.
Yeah.
But I want to go to something more fundamental than that. See, none of your employees is over 25 years old.
Yeah.
So basically what you're working with is transient employees.
Yeah, the food service industry in general, it's a very transitional industry.
Okay, so which brings us to the original subject. So what you need is a system where anybody can come and do the recipe without deviation. It could be there could be many examples. I'll give you just one example that just comes to mind right now. Let's just say ginger and carrot soup.
Yeah.
I'm not a cook, but so you're gonna say in your recipe 16 carrots, so much ginger, and all the spices will be pre-packed already in a bag, and there's your bags. So all of a sudden you don't need a woman who's amazing. All she has to do is take this bag, pour it into the water, take 16 carrots, put them in there, take so much ginger, put it in there, and it's done. Now, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
But when you give somebody a recipe with 2 spoons of this, 6 spoons of this, a pinch of it, and a pinch of that, you open the door to errors.
Yeah.
And you also need a different caliber employee. You need an employee who can actually follow relatively, to us it's simple, but relatively complicated instructions.
Yeah.
Let's not forget they're 18 to 25 years old, so they never cooked for themselves. The students, they don't have a hell of a lot of life experience. So what McDonald's, again, I don't eat McDonald's, I hate McDonald's, but I love the system.
Yeah.
There's no room for error. Their hamburger is always the same. It always tastes the same. It's the same. They put the same amount of cardboard in it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the same. But and they cannot make a mistake. Like when they pour you the orange juice, for example, they cannot make a mistake. It comes pre-packed.
Yeah.
What they have to do is take this big plastic bag, put it in a thing, pull the thing over here, and they pour. And that is what you're supposed to be working on, as opposed to, for example, getting an order of 300 sandwiches ready to get out the door, right?
Yeah.
So one day, let's say you don't have much time, so let's just say that today we're working on soups. So how many soups do you have? 6, 7 different soups?
You have about 6 or 7
So,
different soups. Yeah.
so one day you go and you write everything down, and then you buy. This is an example. I'm not telling you what to do. For lack of a better example, that's the only thing I can think of at the moment. So I'm talking about the soups. So you make a package, one package for carrot, one for all you. So you had 7 packages, and to make this soup, you know that you fill up the container with water. You put this, done. Then you take a break for 2 weeks from that. Everybody learn how to do that. Everybody should be able to do it. Everybody in the shop should be able to do it. Then you go to the next process. How do we make sandwiches? So I went to it, and I saw him making sandwiches. So the way he does is that I told you that before. He's got a big table, and he slices all the bread, and he puts in 200 slices of bread, and then he goes to the fridge, and he already has his roast beef cut. And he puts mayo, slice meat, the meat. Then he put his whatever, and then he's got another box with all the other slices of the bread. He covers it up, and in his case, he just wraps it up and put it in the box. He wraps it up, put it in the box. When he put it not in the box, he's got this pastry trays. So he puts them all like this. They're all counted. He has this thing, a checklist over here. He check, they're all gone. So he's got a system. It took him many years to develop the system, by the way. Many years. And many people. But he has a system. It's all about system.
I agree with you. It's getting ahead of ourselves. One of the things that I wanted to pose to you guys was for us moving forward, being a transition. It's just something to think about. I don't need an answer from you today, but just think about it. Is that I've hinted to you that moving forward, what we want to do is get away from those order forms, get away from the customization. You guys are very visual as well. When we were in Europe, we loved the idea, my wife and I loved the idea that the sandwiches are already compiled. You merely wait for the customer to order that specific selection, and then you heat it.
That's what Tweet does.
Right. As Yes the Fresh and this brand, so there's 2 components to this question. Will it radically change what Yes the Fresh is if we do away with the customization? And then secondly, if everything is pre-formed, not pre-packaged, it's just pre-formed, waiting to be heated or served, will that also change what we are? But that's something down the
I
road.
talked about it.
I think it's somewhere just top of my head, but we can think about it more. Is the combination. It's if you have some things already for that person who walks in, they want quick, give me this, I gotta go, I gotta catch a bus. Another person who's basically is gonna take the time. There's something about it that people like to see. That it's good that we see people cooking because it's cutting and chopping because
The open
you
kitchen
feel like
concept, yeah.
you feel like okay, it's fresh. Even though the sandwich is here, it's probably just been made a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So because you do want to avoid that airport triangular cellophane. So maybe a combination. I think maybe
We had an idea. Saul and I was discussing this idea that if you put 3 posters, it's gonna be a poster of nice photography, everything. 3 posters or 4, whatever the number is, and you give it a name. For example, the midday lunch, the protein filler, whatever the name of this salad is, and you put them properly. Don't put any text over there. Don't write anything too much. You can put a big picture like this, and you can write a little bit what's in it underneath. Like when you go to a juice bar, they tell you the red-blooded whatever. And underneath small, they put beet, carrot. My belief is that at least, and I'm being conservative, that at least 50% of the people who work in the place will say, "Give me this one over there," and it'll be ready already. You can have them ready. In the beginning, you just got 2 or 3 ready, and they will get 20 ready. But my belief is that 50% of your customers are not going to customize it. They're going to take. I see people sitting there waiting all day long for the salads. They're sitting there taking the seat, they're not even eating there, but they're taking there's very few seats that you do have, just waiting for the salads.
Yeah.
So that's, in my opinion, that will do a lot.
One of the businesses that fascinates me because it's somewhat similar to what we do is Chipotle.
Never been.
There's one at Yonge and Dundas. The backstory behind Chipotle was founded by a guy who went to chef school. He wanted to open up this Chipotle as a way of making money so he could open up fine dining. I think he's at 1,500 units.
It's a huge success.
Yeah.
McDonald's kicked in $350 million, became the majority shareholder, and when McDonald's decided to get out, they sold it back to the original founders. One of the things that I watched an in-depth special on them, and there's a book out there called The Chipotle Effect. I tried to read as many of the relevant books to our industry as possible, but one of the things I'd said to Saul is that it's really important for me to get perspective, input, analysis from people outside the industry, because to hear the same advice within the industry, sometimes you retain 30% of what you hear.
It's a closed circle also.
Yeah. But the thing about this Chipotle, which is something we need to figure out, in your McDonald's analogy, McDonald's has the franchise concept down pat to the point that, as you said, they have a training manual on what temperature to have the water for washing the floor, how long you soak it, blah blah blah. Everything comes pretty much ready to go to each McDonald's store. There's no individual input into it. Whereas at Chipotle, this is the interesting thing, because we need to figure out what we're going to do. We have 1,100 square feet here. We'd like to open additional units between 500 and 600 square feet. We don't need as much back of house space. I look at Chipotle. Each store has a full kitchen. All the meat comes from a central supplier, but it comes raw. All the veggies come raw.
Well,
Everything,
the meat's gonna come raw.
right? But at McDonald's,
It still comes raw now.
it's been processed. At Chipotle, you actually have cooks that not only do they cook the chicken, they flavor it. For us to get to that plan B and to have that person or that team to do that food for us, I need to figure out whether we're going to do the McDonald's route where everything comes already, or do we do the Chipotle?
Something I want to tell you about Chipotle, which is interesting, because today I was walking from home to here, and I was listening to a podcast, and they mentioned Chipotle.
Yeah.
And they mentioned in the context of a company that, and I only ate there once, so I don't know, but they have very few items on the menu.
That's right.
And so that makes things easier. Now, I told Rafi this story about the guy who was selling these pretzels in New York. And the father had like 3 types of pretzels, and he was selling X number. And the son took over and said, I'll have 20 flavors, I'll sell that many more. Sales went down because people get overwhelmed by choices. So that's something that maybe keeping some of the cooking, but simplifying, and then trying a little more. So having fewer dishes, but good.
That's another topic that I'm wrestling with.
It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
I think that what you have is phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3.
Yeah.
And let's just say that phase 3 is Chipotle.
Yeah.
Phase 2 is McDonald's. Phase 1 is fixing what you got right now. So I think that immediately what I would do again is I'll fix the front of the house. I'll put the posters, I'll put the pictures, I'll put the systems in, I'll put ready-made soups, I'll put I'll put a lot of time and effort into thinking about how to make my sandwiches and how to make them really good. And by the way, you have smoothies, which I have no idea what they are. I had no idea that you do them until he ordered one.
Yeah.
So you got the smoothies and juices. So in my opinion, is the first thing that you want to do is this initial makeover of what you got, because what you got you're underestimating yourself. Me as a customer, and you can see it because I'm there every single day. We do appreciate and love the concept, and it's a concept that brings me back. It's not everything else. So if you do an initial, and this is something that you do immediately, like Saul was talking to me about building something. Don't remember what it was. We just talked about it, and I went downstairs. He came back. I feel I was building it. I built it already. It was like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
So what was it?
Yeah, no, it was
So
a counter. Yeah. From decision to execution, he's the fastest guy. You know?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, is we've been talking a long time, and the only thing we've done for you so far is just the name of the with the magnet behind.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, is like I started a business called Shari Fashion about 20 or 30 years ago, and I started with nothing. But I sat down one night and I wrote down a list of how I want to, of what I want. First of all, I put the beginning and the end, and I put a list of what I want to do. And I put a timeline of 2 years on it. I finished it in 1 year. But I followed this list. I went to this list, and if you go to my office right now, you'll see a list in the back, like what do we have to do as far as SEO for the internet is concerned. I have a list, and I follow the list. But the one thing that I'm telling you straight off the bat, whatever it is that we discuss, Saul and I, we follow through. We do it. We don't always succeed. Not all our decisions are good. Don't fool yourself. Maybe making a soup pre-made with maybe it's a terrible idea. I'm not saying yes or no, but it could be. But a lot of our decisions, like we spend $20-something thousand. I keep saying 30,000. We spent $20,000 on a machine that prints on T-shirts directly because we thought it was an amazing idea, and we sold it for $8,000. It was a terrible idea, premature or whatever it was. But not all our decisions are good. But all our decisions get a follow-through. Meaning, come to me next week with go to all the malls, take pictures of fast food restaurants, and come to me and say, we need these kind of pictures. We need this. We need 3 posters. We need 5 posters. Sit down at night. You and your wife say, listen. What do you think is a good salad? 5 salads, 4 salads that people are going to just go crazy, they're just going to buy it. Like before I came to you, I used to go to Gabby's. They got the monsoon salad. Yeah. I used to go over there and I used to say to her, I don't want the menu, just give me the monsoon salad. Never bother with the menu. Yeah. You know how many people, stupid people like me are out there? They don't want to read the menu. It's too complicated. It's you open this menu and it's this big. Well, you know. Pictures. Now, I started my business in a flea market, and I'm an immigrant. So I got a communication issue, and I'm a grassroots kind of guy. Like we sell to real people. We sold to real housewives, real people. So we sort of understand what they want. We know. I see a picture of an orange juice, I'm going to have an orange juice. It's that simple. But you gotta go through with it.
One of the concepts he talks about is it's called fail fast. Take action. What I touched on earlier, fail, but fail fast. Yeah. Action. So I think, I would guess you're more analytical, right? You calculate things and think about things. Yeah. But you also have action because you build something. Yeah. But sometimes it's like these quick probe, you know.
If you didn't fail, you didn't try.
Yeah.